They fooled me, we can't get fooled again.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
You don't know what you're talking about, do you?
Because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
If you don't like what we tell you to believe in, we'll kill you.
All right, kids. Listen. Don't listen to this podcast.
Don't listen to this.
If you're not of age.
What's of age?
18.
So 16?
18. We're a bunch of dudes, and we're going to say some really bad words.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Conspiracy Podcast.
Oh, the hiatus is over, boys.
We're back.
We're back.
We're so back.
Hope everybody's doing good. Yeah, a lot has happened.
Did you guys miss us?
Yeah.
I mean, probably like, God damn it. They're going to get the Tuesday notification. Like, fuck.
we got some cute messages. We got a lot of cute messages.
I think we have good fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have great.
Yeah.
We have great fans.
Great fans. And Patreons.
The
Oh my
Patreons.
God.
Oh, yeah.
They stuck it through.
Oh my God, like you guys.
Strangely, a lot has happened since we left.
Dude, so
I know.
much. God, we could do like
hurricanes,
multiple hurricanes.
flooding, elections.
I mean,
just
I
don't even know what to say.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, right? Seriously, Bitcoin.
All the things.
Spiking as soon as the election's done. It's like,
I know, man. It's been going crazy.
But we hope you guys are doing good. We miss you. And, we got a cool episode. We're doing a little bit different because we're in between studios. We are actually doing, this is an outside episode.
We're on site here at the backyard patio of
That's right. So all of the equipment is outside right now.
yeah, it's on a table.
You guys hear some like sirens go by or some like random shit. Now you know.
Yeah.
It sounds a little echoey, but that's just life right now. Like we're living it.
But it'll be fun, and we got an episode. We got a 2-parter actually, and I've been wanting to do this a very long time. I've watched and listened to almost everything I could get my hands on in order to do this. A lot of people go, "Oh, how is this a conspiracy?" And I will tell you to shut up.
It's our podcast. We do whatever we want.
This is our show.
Deal with
it.
Welcome to the podcast. It's not a conspiracy, but it's just the podcast.
Yeah. No, these episodes is Jack the Ripper. And,
That's a good one.
Jack be nimble, Jack be quick.
Jack the Ripper. Do you guys know a lot about this?
Dude, I know like a little bit.
Yeah, same.
I actually don't
Just
know.
You know.
This is a white person. Me and Jorge are like, what? Is he an NFL? Like, who does he play for?
That's pretty funny. Well, if you don't know who Jack the Ripper is, he's basically the first famous serial killer.
Yes. And it was like England, like old England, like they were fucking wearing like three-piece suits.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go around. So this happened in 1888.
Old school. Okay.
Yeah.
No forensics.
Oh yeah.
So just to give you guys an idea of what was going on in 1888 in the United States, it was an election year, kind of like it is now. The president was Grover Cleveland, and he was running for re-election. He lost to Benjamin Harrison.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, don't know both of them.
Didn't even know that he was a president.
In France, the Eiffel Tower was under construction.
Yeah, oui.
Okay. The British Empire was at its peak. This was like peak. They were the superpower of Earth.
After they lost to us, losers.
Then Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison were engaged in the War of Currents. So this is the the
DC versus
alternating.
AC.
Yeah, exactly. Arthur Conan Doyle published the first reference to Sherlock Holmes.
Fucking legend.
Vincent van Gogh painted Starry Night. Just to give you guys an
Seems like a
idea.
good
this
era.
Is,
This is like height of,
Yeah,
of
this
is-
humanity right now.
Golden era.
exactly.
Too bad this guy's out there nuking people like in like, the streets of
Although,
England.
unfortunately, medicine was not that advanced at this moment.
I know the average lifespan was like
yes.
38.
Germ theory was not accepted yet. So there were no.
I think they were still doing bloodletting
Yeah.
at this point in time. I'm gonna bleed the disease out of your body.
Life expectancy was really low because there was a major separation between rich and lower class.
And like they didn't have like the hygiene level was like
That's right, and they didn't
fucking
believe germs.
disgusting.
Yeah, they're like,
Sure.
oh, ass to mouth, no big deal.
They're like, oh, and they were like taking shits in the street and stuff.
100%.
It's like LA, like downtown San Fran.
Yeah.
It's
Back in
like
the
it's like
1880s,
yeah,
yeah.
like
Mhm. Well, I mean, you know.
less beautiful but same amount of shit.
Yeah. So overall, 1888 was a time of significant social change, political tension, and advancement in, art and technology. But it was the era that laid the groundwork to this story.
Okay.
Yeah. In the last part of the 1800s, England experienced an influx of Irish immigrants who swelled the population of major cities, including what was called the East End in London. From 1882, Jewish refugees fleeing the Russian Empire and other areas of Eastern Europe also immigrated to the area. Yeah. So
Immigration can
So
be
where-
a problem.
So where this takes place is called the parish of Whitechapel. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And the parish, essentially, we still use that term in Louisiana. Like there's parishes.
Yeah, there's parishes, yeah.
But they're essentially smaller than towns. They're like little sections.
Like little townships
But, like-
or like
Yes.
counties.
And the actual definition is religious because it's your parish.
It's like your group.
But it's
yeah.
also a name for a small little section of a town.
Yeah, it's
essentially.
almost like
Like a neighborhood?
yeah, like that. Almost like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like your subdivision,
I
like
thought it
your-
was bigger than town, but smaller than a county.
or maybe it's smaller than town.
I think it's smaller than a town.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's right. It's a section of a town.
Okay.
That's
cool.
my understanding of it. So Whitechapel, which is called the East End, right? They have a population of 80,000 in 1888.
Okay, maybe it's bigger than a town because
That's pretty
80,000
big
back
for-
then. It's
For
fucking
a
huge.
section of a town.
But this is London, right?
Oh
So,
yeah,
like
and
this
also
is
England's like this big. So
and remember the British Empire was the height. Like this
Okay.
is the height. So
They
this
still
is
like-
the biggest town or the biggest city on earth, essentially. Close.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, work and housing conditions worsened and a significant economic underclass developed. 55% of children born in the East End died before they were 5.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Yeah, probably because they weren't getting baths every night.
The
like our
poverty
kids.
is just So there's robbery, violence, and alcohol dependency were commonplace, and the endemic poverty drove many women to prostitution to survive on a daily
Oh
basis.
yeah, you see those in the movies, and they're like
Mhm.
they make them look all hot, but they were like,
Yeah.
they were not. They were rough.
Yeah.
And it's not like their fault. It's just like
Yeah.
it's like no shower. I mean, sorry, it sucks. And like wear a corset. And then it's fucking sweat to death. Well, this dude's dicking you down and fucking gross.
Dicking
like
you down.
barf.
So the area of Whitechapel was extremely overcrowded. Many of the residents lived in poor and unsanitary conditions. This dense population, combined with poverty and inadequate housing, contributed to its reputation as a district that was plagued by crime and social unrest. So Whitechapel in the late 19th century covered an area of only 1.3 square miles.
Oh my god, 80,000 people
Wow.
in that time. That's
1.3
wow.
square miles.
No,
That's tiny.
That's hard to believe. What the
It was a
fuck?
densely populated district characterized by narrow streets, overcrowded housing, and this weird network of alleyways and courtyards. And so it was this weird.
Dude, that's
It's
like
where
from
you
here
get
to
scared and you're like, that's a fucking alley.
That's from
Yeah.
here to the entrance of this neighborhood right here.
Yeah.
and back.
That's literally it's like
that's right.
Imagine your neighborhood had 80,000
Yeah.
people in it.
But there's about there's
Shit.
about 500 500 people here.
I
If
guess.
yeah.
if that.
So multiply.
So
Well,
80,000.
multiply by fucking
Yeah.
by 400. The 400 times more people.
So in October 1888, London's Metro Police Service estimated there were 62 brothels, 1,200 prostitutes walking the streets in Whitechapel.
Damn.
Wow.
This Walton.
So put that into perspective, 1,200 prostitutes in a 1.3 mile.
That's like a prostitute for every house. Like
Yeah,
every house got a
yeah.
prostitute.
Or like 3 or 4.
There's a whole gang,
posses,
little
exactly.
prostitute gangs.
There were approximately 8,500 people residing in what was called lodging houses, where it was like this big room where you have cots.
Oh, so
Okay.
it's like a storm shelter where you
Yeah.
go and they line the cots up and
Very
it's like,
condensed living. It's horrible, actually. Horrible. The nightly price for something called a coffin bed was 4 pence. And a coffin bed,
Oh my god.
a coffin bed is
Sounds comfy.
no, it's exactly
delightful.
it's exactly what you were just saying, which is like it's almost like a shelter where you just have beds lined up.
Yeah.
So it's like a cot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
basically.
But
Yeah,
even then, it
exactly.
wasn't a comfy cot. It was like a piece
No.
of cardboard.
Yeah. So that costs 4 pence a night to stay there, which is equivalent to about €2 today.
So it's cheap.
Super cheap.
Hella
Yeah.
cheap.
Really
Dirt,
cheap.
Dirt.
Yeah.
But everyone was like dirt
like,
poor.
Like Motel 1.
Not Motel 6.
Yeah.
They charge by the hour.
So they also had something called the hangover rope. This is fucking insanity. Okay? They would string a rope in these rooms or in these big hallways, and you would be a drunk. You would pay your 2 pence, and you would lean over the rope and fall asleep.
No way.
This is a true
You're
thing.
so drunk you just
This
pass
is a
on the-
fucking true thing. It's called the hangover
Oh,
rope.
but it's like only 2 pence, not 4, so it's like 50% off.
Yes!
If you're so drunk,
Yes!
you just like
Stand up and-
And it's 2 pence.
You're so drunk, you
Yes.
pass out sleep.
And it's like a little, play on words because hang over
Yeah.
and you're drunk, but you're also hanging over the rope.
Wow.
It's insane. Yeah. So there you go. To give you an idea of what's going on
I
there.
mean, these slumlords were maximizing
Right?
profits.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
The large number of attacks against women in the East End during this time adds uncertainty to how many victims really were attributed to
Jack
Jack the
specifically.
Ripper, right? So 11 separate murders happened from 1888 to 1891, and they were called the Whitechapel murders. Now, we're not going to go over those murders because we're only going over the Ripper confirmed murders.
Okay, so he
Okay.
could have been involved.
He could have been wild, like
Yeah.
even more wild.
That was like
than
his
this.
origin
But
story.
they weren't
was
necessarily
Whitechapel.
But they weren't necessarily like part of the
Confirmed as his.
meaning. But when you say confirmed, like
I mean, it's pretty.
I think
I
he
mean,
has
I'm going
like
to
an
go
MO.
through
He
it.
has like
Okay,
an
the
MO.
MO.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm going to go through it, and you're going to be like, okay, that's,
Okay.
Yeah, like
this
this,
fucking
he, like he
guy.
does
Yes.
this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Okay, so there's and this sounds like a super fucking hero comic book, but it's horrible. But it's called the Canonical Five.
Oh my
Yeah.
damn! That'd be a dope ass like rap name.
Yeah.
Like Wu-Tang and,
these
the
are-
Canonical Five.
These are the 5 that all historians say were Jack the Ripper.
Okay.
Oh, they one of these 5.
They're like the term canon. Like,
Yeah.
So it's how do you explain it? Like they're the only ones that are legitimate Ripper victims.
But how do they know? Oh, because
Because we're
Okay,
gonna
whatever.
know.
Again, here we go. Yeah,
Here we go.
yeah.
Canonical 5.
Yeah, okay. So Ann Nichols, known in life as Polly, was born Ann Walker in 1845 off Fleet Street. Described as small in stature, standing 5'2", delicate high cheekbone face framed by brown hair that started to turn gray. She had a youthful appearance despite the roughness of her years. She was missing several front teeth. She had a small scar from childhood. Yet she was remembered as a woman who tried to keep herself clean and presentable despite being an alcoholic.
this might be a raging.
So,
Whereas the men who were raging alcoholics stopped giving a fuck years ago.
so at age 22, Polly married somebody named William Nichols. They had 5 children, but after years of domestic discord, they separated. She was abused. Polly left William for good. The split sent her further into alcoholism.
But man, like she was 25 kids. Like
I know.
I just can't imagine being that dirt poor and being like, let's have another kid, baby.
Well, that's how they end up.
So
in
essentially, she was in a
prostitution.
family.
Good point.
She was in a marriage. She had a home, and then that ended, and then she became homeless, and then she turned to prostitution.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
but you gotta do something to
Yeah.
feed 5 kids.
So-
I mean, shit. Or to feed her alcoholism.
yeah, that too.
So she started living in what's called workhouses, which is kind of like
a whorehouse.
government. No, it's not a whorehouse. It's
Oh, it's
like
like
a
Section
government. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
even lower
Section
than
2.
Section 8. Yeah. where the government would provide shelters for X amount of time.
Yeah, like
essentially.
you can sleep
You
here.
can stay
Get
here
the
for
fuck out.
Yeah, you got 4 days.
Yeah. Then
And
they're
then-
like,
Okay.
And then next month they come back for the 4 days.
oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
Otherwise, they're gonna start asking for pants.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like
There's a rope over there. It's
Yeah.
very comfy.
I know the horror rope. Like,
So by the end of August 1888, Polly was lodging in various rundown houses in Whitechapel, the heart of London's East End. Extreme poverty, etc. August 30th was no different than her normal living in squalor kind of thing, which was heavy rains washed over the city. Polly was seen wandering Whitechapel Road, possibly seeking customers to earn her money to stay in the house. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do want to take a moment here, and I do want to say this is some of the worst description stories that we've told on this podcast.
oh, this is terrible. This is actually terrible.
So I'm going to describe some of what happened to these people.
Oh,
and
you're talking about now. I thought we were talking about up
No.
to now. I'm like, this is fucking
No,
terrible.
no.
Just wait till we tell you
I'm
about
just
the
telling
murder.
you-
I can't
I'm
imagine my mom like.
I'm just telling you, if you do have kids listening, this is now the point of
where you turn,
you probably
stop.
should turn it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna get a little.
Although we should have
a
already
little
warned
gnarly.
you.
We should have warned
Yeah.
you at the beginning.
When I'm like,
Yeah, I'm
horse,
sorry.
yeah.
Okay, so she was seen wandering Whitechapel Road. She was possibly seeking customers to earn her money for staying at the place. In her inebriated state, she told a friend she already had the money 3 times that day, but she spent it all on booze. Her optimism never wavered, though, as she boasted about she had a new bonnet and she was confident that she was going to earn her way out because of this new bonnet.
Got that new bonnet,
Does that make
dude.
sense?
The boy's gonna be
Yeah.
going wild.
Yeah.
That new bonnet. You see the boy's like,
Keep in
"Look at
mind,
that-
I
look at
tried
that
to-
fucking bonnet.
I tried to
gotta
explain.
have
I
it."
tried to explain like how she looked, and like it sucks because we think of I don't know. You know, she had like no teeth. She had missing half her teeth were missing.
But you gotta
She-
think
you
like
know what I
most of the
mean?
people.
I know.
Most of the people. It was probably like the way she
This
looked
wasn't
was probably
high-end
like
kind of.
the
Well,
same.
You know,
like
if you're looking for head, that's the one you go after.
Oh my god.
she's got a little bit too many teeth for me.
Yeah. Hey, bonnet girl.
Hey,
Yeah.
bonnet.
Come here.
So in the early hours of August 31st, Polly's body was discovered in Bucks Row by a carman named Charles Cross and another man named Robert Paul. They were on their way to work. They stumbled upon her lifeless form, her hands cold, but her limbs were still warm, and that indicated to them that she was killed moments earlier.
Oh wow.
Wow.
The police were quickly summoned, and Dr. Rees Lewin pronounced her dead at 4 a.m. The brutality of her murder shocked even those officers. Her throat had been slashed deeply. Her abdomen bore horrific mutilations inflicted with violent precision. Later on, the inquest into her death revealed these details. A long bladed knife had been used with considerable force, severing arteries and causing severe abdominal injuries. The doctor suggested that the killer might have been left-handed, adding to the mounting theories surrounding Jack the Ripper and if he was left-handed.
How would
Her
they know
throat.
that?
Well, you can kind of
Oh, maybe
the
like
angle.
the angle. Okay.
The angle, yeah. Her throat was severed by 2 deep cuts, one of which completely severed all the tissue all the way back to her vertebrae.
Holy shit!
Damn, man.
That takes a lot of effort. to do.
Her vagina was stabbed twice.
Oh my god! Really?
The lower part of her abdomen was partially ripped out with an open, deep, jagged wound, causing her bowels to be on the outside.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Several other incisions inflicted to both sides of her abdomen had also caused by the same knife. Each of these wounds had been inflicted in a downward thrusting manner.
But why stab her in the vagina? That's so unnecessary.
You're a fucking psycho.
That's
So
a good
you're
point.
gonna see in these murders. I mean, in part 1 we're gonna go over the murders, and then in part 2 is all the theories
Yeah.
and all the conspiracies, right?
Right.
But you'll see in this and a point of note, there's no evidence of any sexual activity.
He was straight
But
ready to kill.
people call him a sexual deviant because of
The vagina
things-
stabbing.
Yes,
Maybe like
and there's more.
like he gets some sort of like weird like pleasure. Oh
Yes.
yeah, like
Yes.
fucking
Nasty.
weirdo. God, I
So in her possession was a comb, a white pocket handkerchief, and a broken piece of mirror, which apparently was a prized possession in a lodging house because there were no mirrors.
Oh yeah.
So you couldn't see how you looked. And there was no bathrooms and stuff like that. So you would
And as a working girl, it's
Yeah,
probably like
yeah.
a thing.
a hot commodity. Yeah.
How
So
come
there you go. That's victim 1.
Fuck.
Yeah, it just keeps going,
That's
by the way.
intense.
And he was
Just
like,
keeps
that was
going,
the most
just a heads
docile
up.
of the
Yeah,
murders.
Yeah.
Also, like back then, it's like like nowadays we have some
Real
psycho
crazy
motherfuckers.
shit.
Yeah.
And you also kind of been desensitized, probably, with
movies,
and
yeah.
fucking video games, and all
Ferenz
kinds of
Files.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
CSI. I
Yeah.
mean, Sean, he's a CSI expert now.
I am
I know.
certified.
Yeah.
It's true.
Anyway, so I'm just saying, back
I
then,
know.
that like the shock that
Oh.
they must have had,
Oh, it's got to be fucking wild.
running up on this. The
Also,
first
all
murder.
within like a mile
1
and a
mile.
half.
That's
Mile and a
yes,
half.
that's
Well,
the
I mean,
thing.
it's squared, so
Still.
it's a little bit bigger than a mile and a half straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like 4, essentially. No,
Yeah.
4 in a square
Yeah.
Yeah.
cubed.
Math,
We're
science.
doing math now.
All right, that was victim number 1 of the confirmed.
Yeah, the what are the 5? The canonical.
Canonical 5.
Canonical 5.
I mean, might get that might trademark that.
Yeah.
Okay, Annie Chapman, known as Dark Annie, was born Annie Eliza Smith in 1841 to a soldier in the 2nd Battalion of Lifeguards. Annie was petite, standing 5 feet tall with a pale complexion, blue eyes, dark brown, wavy hair. Despite being undernourished and suffering from chronic lung disease and possible brain damage,
Jesus.
she had remarkably good teeth.
Hmm.
Though she struggled with alcohol, which seems to be a theme.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
that's
like
a
theme.
going concern.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
me too.
I know, right? You're living with 80,000 people.
Eric has remarkably good teeth.
I'm with you, Annie. I'm with you.
He had possible brain damage.
Struggle's real.
Not possible. That's confirmed.
Confirmed brain
Yeah.
damage.
Those who knew her, like her friend Amelia, described her as generally a steady woman and kind of like reliable, despite she had a very, very strong taste for rum. That's what she
Very-
said.
Despite.
in it.
Very, very strong.
Yeah. Annie married John Chapman, a coachman, on May 1st, 1869. They had 3 children. Emily was one of their children who died of meningitis at 12. John Alfred, who was disabled, was eventually put in a home.
You have to think like,
This is so hard to.
no, but I
Right?
think like it's
Yeah.
got to be there's a high percentile chance that she was on the rum while she was pregnant. I mean, granted, I think the hygiene is a huge part.
Yeah.
But based on the amount of alcohol that everyone's consuming at all times,
True.
I guarantee that has
Yeah.
a factor.
And it's not like beer.
No, it's not. There is no like
Straight
beer's
up hard liquor
Yeah,
that
for
they're
them,
drinking
beers
as
for pussies.
much.
Yeah, like they need
exactly.
like liquor.
Yeah. So they separated in 1885. The husband continued to send support to her in payments, but he died the next year. So essentially, by 1886,
She's on the street.
her daughter died, her husband died,
Her son's
disabled, and she's going deeper into.
That's what I'm saying. She's
into-
gotta hit the street.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
it's like
Yeah.
I got to get the rum payments. I
Yeah,
gotta,
That's right. So, like the previous victim, she started living in the lodging houses.
Where are the
And,
kids? Where are the fucking kids at?
I know.
Are they in the lodging
they
house?
gotta
too?
Probably
be
just
there.
running the streets in the fucking.
Yeah, well, clearly, her son's not running the streets.
So she tried everything that she could. She started doing crochet work. She started selling flowers.
Oh, okay. Well, at least she's not like only like at least she's doing other stuff.
After a couple years, she just wasn't cutting it. She turned to prostitution.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I hate you.
There were
Damn.
reports.
I was like, she's
I
trying.
know.
She's trying to make
I
a better
know.
life. I'm like, damn it.
there were reports that the night of her death, because she's the second victim, that she got into a fight with another prostitute about some sort of romance with a John.
So,
You know what I mean?
Triangle.
Yeah. So just as a note, right? On the evening of September 7th, Annie was seen by Amelia, who noted that Annie appeared unwell and dejected. Despite her ill health, Annie was determined to make the money for her lodging that night. Now, it's crazy that each victim had to make it every night. Like
Yeah,
they have to make
right.
your rent every night.
Yeah, that's like every day is a struggle to survive. It's not like, oh, I got to get it by the 15th. It's like,
Yeah.
get it by like 7 p.m.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or like 1 a.m. so I can go sleep.
Oh my god.
You know what I mean? It's just crazy. Can you imagine doing that?
Dude, how did
Like,
And they only
you don't
need-
have rent tonight.
They only needed 4 pence too. Like,
I know, but how did 80,000 people survive like this?
I know.
What the fuck?
Jeez.
So around
And
1:30,
England's at the height of its power. Like
I know,
fucking
right?
shithole.
Around 1:30 a.m. on September 8th, she left and she told the night watchman she would soon return with her bed money so she can come back. Yeah. At 5:30 a.m., Elizabeth Long witnessed Annie speaking with a man outside of Hanbury Street in the company of a dark-haired man wearing a brown deerstalker hat.
What is that?
It's like
almost like a Sherlock Holmes kind of hat, but like where it's a little bit like
but it's
down.
got the curve.
Yeah,
it's got
exactly.
curved sides.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's usually not plaid, but like, yeah, I don't even know the color of it.
But
so it's brown. It's almost
brown.
It's almost like a top hat.
Kind of, but it's not like
it's more like
it's not like a.
It covers the ears a little bit more.
Yeah, it's not like I'm like in a tuxedo top hat, but it's like more of a.
Yeah.
Look at old timey English photos and you'll see it.
Okay. All right. Anyways, just wondering.
Yeah.
Oh, this one. I was way off. It's definitely not a top hat. It's a Sherlock Holmes hat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and you can get the flaps.
Yeah.
And you put the flaps down. Okay.
Got it.
So he was wearing the deerstalker hat and a dark overcoat, and somebody described him as being shabby Gentile. Now, shabby Gentile is somebody who, like, it would be like I wore a suit,
but you're poor.
But I've been wearing it for like 5 days. Does that make sense? Like, it's like a nice suit,
but it's like, it needs to be pressed.
Yes, it's worn in, so to speak. Yeah. According to the eyewitness, the man asked Chapman, "Will you?" To which Chapman replied, "Yes." Shortly thereafter, Albert Kadosh, who lived next door, heard voices and a thud against the fence. The body of Annie Chapman was discovered approximately 6 a.m. near the steps of the doorway of the backyard. As in the case of Nichols, the throat was severed by 2 deep cuts. Her abdomen had been cut entirely open, with a section of the flesh from her stomach being placed upon her left shoulder. Another section of skin of flesh, plus her small intestines, were removed and put on her right shoulder.
It's like weird symbolism.
Chapman's autopsy also revealed that her uterus was removed.
Oh my God.
Sections of her bladder were removed, and her vagina was removed.
And then they weren't at the scene. They were taken.
Yes.
Okay, this guy's on some other
Dr.
shit.
George Phillips suggested that the murderer had anatomical knowledge.
Yeah,
almost like a surgeon.
See, like this guy's like doing some weird experiments. Yeah. Like he's like, ooh,
or he knows where things are.
Yeah,
well,
he knows
clearly
exactly where to cut.
Like, I don't mean to be grotesque, but if Jorge and I cut Sean opener right now,
I would bet money that you cannot find.
What is this? I don't know. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't really know.
Where's his uterus? Where's it? I can't find it.
You would just like remove my penis. You're like, I know where that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, fucking, we got that one off the list. Check. Which one's the small intestine?
So that's what, that's...
Where's his uterus? I can't find it. What does it look like?
No. So Annie was buried September 14th in a quiet early morning funeral. Her relatives paid for the service, kept it private. Her grave has since been buried over.
Damn, that's so dicky.
You can't even find her grave.
God, that's so shit. They buried over, they put another body on top?
I know, horrible.
Fucking England, man. Jesus.
Okay, so right around this time, in between victim 2 and 3-4, yeah, something came out which was called the Dear Boss letter. Okay, and this was supposedly written by Jack the Ripper, and it was received by the Central News Agency of London on September 27th, and it was forwarded to Scotland Yard. Here's what the letter said. Dear Boss, I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they look so clever and talk about being on the right track. That joke about leather apron gave me real fits. Now, leather apron, they found a leather apron at the scene of one of the crimes.
So he's like, didn't want to get blood on his suit?
And so they were like, oh, it's a butcher.
Oh.
And then they started calling it, because this is the first time, there was no Jack the Ripper at the time.
This time, yeah.
So they called it leather apron.
Like that was the name of the
name.
The killer.
The leather apron
right.
killer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the leather apron gave me real fits. I am down on whores, and I shan't quit ripping them till I do get buckled. Grand work the last job was. I gave the lady no time to squeal. How can they catch me now? I love my work, and I want to start again. You will soon hear of me with my funny little games. I saved some of the proper red stuff in a ginger beer bottle over the last job to write with, but it went thick like glue, and I can't use it. Red ink is fit enough, I hope. Ha ha ha. The next job I do, I shall clip the lady's ears off and send to the police just for jolly. Wouldn't you? Keep this letter back till I do a bit more work, then give it out straight. My knife's so nice and sharp, I want to get to work right away if I get a chance. Good luck. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper. Don't mind me giving the trade name. And that was the first time. That was the first time ever the term Jack the Ripper.
Because he like coined it himself.
That's right. So initially it was considered a hoax.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're like, fuck this.
But the next victim
They cut the fucking ears off.
cut the fucking ear off.
Oh my god! And no one knew about like it's not like this was broadcast.
Yeah,
so
right. There's no Twitter back then.
Yeah, no, like I know, right? Like fucking post. Community notes. This guy's full of shit.
Now, of course, like people who are skeptic of it say, "Oh well, the ear was nicked; it wasn't quite cut off." Of the next victim.
Okay.
So debatable. Some people say the letter is a hoax and it was a newspaper kind of thing.
Trying to boost
Trying
ratings.
to boost ratings and that sort of thing. So, but it essentially was the first time.
The fake
and
news.
and then
the origin of fake news.
Yeah. I mean,
we need to sell some more papers.
and then the news frenzy started.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Jack the Ripper, the Ripper's here. You know, like everybody started getting scared, essentially. So,
Yeah, I
There you
mean, no
Yeah.
shit.
yeah.
I'm scared. Fucking this happened like over 100 years ago.
On the night of September 30th, which was just a couple weeks later, or a few days actually, Elizabeth Stride, which was known as Long Liz, met her brutal end.
I'm sorry. I love how everyone is known by like the first chick was like
I know,
it was
they
like
had
blah blah blah
nicknames.
named Polly, and then there's a long, and then the other one was Dark Annie, and then now it's Long Liz.
Long Liz.
Who's
Yeah.
making up these fucking names? Like,
Okay, she met her brutal end in a dark yard in Whitechapel, but the difference this time was she was the first of what was called the double event. This was 2 murders in the same night.
oh geez, he's getting like hella brazen.
Earlier that evening, Elizabeth, a 45-year-old woman of Swedish descent, was seen in high spirits. She had earned some money cleaning rooms, used part of it to drink with friends at the Queen's Head.
It always comes out that
Drinking.
used all of it to get shit faced.
Around 7, she left her lodging house in Flower and Dean, cheerfully showing off 6 pence she had earned, determined to make her way through the rainy night. I mean, I guess 6 pence is what,
Ballin'.
2 nights?
No, it's a
3 nights ahead.
night and a half.
Yeah, two nights ahead.
If you want the rope.
Well, it's
She's
a
like,
night in a rope.
I'm good till Saturday.
Yeah, it's like a night in a rope, baby. I'm good to go. A night in a rope.
As the hours passed, witnesses placed Elizabeth with various men. By 11, 2 laborers saw her near the Bricklayer's Arms, which is a rad name for a bar,
It's a super rad name for a bar.
where she was embracing a man. The pair seemed intimate, yet the man made light of the situation, teasing them. 45 minutes later, William Marshall noticed her on Burner Street talking to another man in a sailor's hat, whispering and laughing. They were close. Elizabeth seemed fine and just doing her job, like doing her duty.
Killing the game.
Shortly after midnight, more sightings occurred. Even a police constable saw her with another man described as carrying a mysterious package. 12:45 a.m., a witness named Israel watched from across the street as a man appeared to accost Elizabeth violently, pulling her to the ground near the entrance to Dutfield's yard. She screamed 3 times, not very loudly, but she screamed nonetheless. Schwartz, unnerved, noticed another man standing nearby who began to follow him, who caused him to flee. 15 minutes later, at approximately 1 a.m., Louis Diemschutz, a jeweler salesman, entered Dutfield's yard, guiding his pony. The pony suddenly, suddenly went or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Fucking.
And that's when he discovered Elizabeth's body laying in the pitch darkness. Believing at first she was drunk, he soon realized the horror. Her throat had been slit, still bleeding. Her body was still warm. He quickly raised the alarm at the International Working's Men's Educational Club, which was next door. And then it became a scene of flurry and panic. Dr. Frederick Blackwell was called to the site, pronouncing Elizabeth dead at 1:16 a.m. It seemed that the killer was interrupted and killed her.
Oh, really?
And fled.
Oh, so he didn't have time to like do like his weird shit.
That's right. So
how did he kill her?
cut her throat.
Okay, that's it. Was it the two
That was
cuts?
it.
Was it the two cut? Like double cut?
Double cut.
Okay.
Double
I
cut.
don't get
Why does it
double
do the
cut.
fucking double cut? Yeah, I don't understand that. It's somewhat
I don't know,
necessary.
like to ensure it gets done.
Is it like the top and the bottom, or I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's like one.
I've
vertical
never done it
and one
before,
horizontal.
so I don't really.
I've
know.
never done it. But not really like, well versed in like
know.
the art of slashing throats.
But so Elizabeth was still clutching like a small little bag or whatever, and so it's assumed that it was just killed and nothing else happened.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
the other ones are like
yeah, they're like
time.
Yeah, he's
There's
like
time
chilling,
involved,
yeah,
yeah.
cutting and placing body parts.
Mhm. So that was the
So
beginning.
is she number 4?
She's number 3.
She's number 3,
Oh.
but that was the beginning of the double event.
Yeah, the double
night.
up.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So minutes later, a short distance away, about 2 blocks,
Mm-hmm.
Ripper strikes again, claiming Catherine Eddowes and plunging Whitechapel into a deeper terror of fear and just fucking everything's chaos here
Oh,
in
I
Whitechapel. Yeah. One of the grisliest events in the history of Whitechapel murder, and that was Catherine Eddowes, a 46-year-old woman with auburn hair, hazel eyes. She was well known in Whitechapel. She lived a hard life marked by struggles and separations.
Yeah, welcome to Whitechapel, baby.
Yeah.
It's like fucking ain't nobody living a good life there.
She spent the night before in Bishopgate Police Station because she was arrested at 8 for public drunkenness.
Okay, you get arrested for public drunkenness, but like hooking's like totally legit.
Yeah.
It's like no problem. Like do your thing.
The logs show that she put her first name as nothing. Her name is nothing. Yeah,
Oh,
like
the
written.
word nothing.
The ledger is nothing.
Wow. Okay.
Classic. She's got a great sense of humor. Love her already.
So by 1 a.m., she was deemed sober enough to leave the station. And she was reported as laughing and bidding the officers farewell. And she said, "I shall get a damn fine hiding when I get home."
Wait, didn't that seem like she found like the hack? Like staying in the police station is free.
Ooh.
I know. Yeah.
Ooh, I'd save 4 pence on this bitch, and I could use it for booze.
Not bad. Released at 1 a.m., Catherine turned left, walking away from the direction which would have taken her back to her lodging. So she was going the other way. Instead, she headed toward Aldgate High Street, where she'd gotten drunk earlier that night.
Going back for seconds after they sobered up.
I mean, that's literally what she was doing.
Yeah.
She's like, fuck it, I'm going back.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna go back to things. I need to get drunk enough to get back to the police station.
Somewhere along the way, she would have passed Duke Street, leading directly to Church Passage, and it was a route shrouded in darkness and in an alley. With a half-hour gap unaccounted for, that was the last time she was seen alive. At 1:35, 3 men exited the Imperial Club on Duke Street. They spotted Catherine standing at the entrance to Church Passage, speaking intimately to a man with her hand rested on his chest. One of the witnesses noticed the man's appearance, roughly around 30 years old, fair complexion, mustached,
Okay.
medium build, wearing a loose jacket and a gray cap.
Okay.
They walked on, unaware that they were the witnesses of the last moments of Catherine Eddowes' life.
Yeah, I mean, you're living the club.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, whatever. Well, this is a horror, making a living. And you're like, fucking, like,
There's
nothing to see here.
what was it? 1,600 prostitutes
I
in a
know,
1 mile radius.
literally.
Yeah. 10 minutes later, at 1:45, a police officer, Edward Watkins, entered the square on his regular beat. He found Catherine lay on her back, her throat savagely cut, and her body was horrifically mutilated. Her intestines were pulled out, arranged over her shoulder, with parts of her detached and positioned behind her, or next to her. The killer then carved her face, creating grotesque flaps of skin and pulling the skin over her face.
Oh my God.
He removed her kidney, and he removed her womb with precision that, again, the doctor said denoted
Yeah, a doctor had to do this
anatomical,
shit. Yeah.
anatomical knowledge. That doctor arrived at 2 a.m., later detailed the brutal injuries. And the sheer speed and efficiency of the mutilations implied that the killer worked with extreme expertise, inflicting the wounds that would take in a skilled surgeon like dozens of minutes. But he did it in
Like,
several minutes.
on the fly.
Yeah.
After he just murdered a person, he's like, "Bah, bah, 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 bah."
Blood pooled around Catherine, but it appeared that little would have splattered the murderer, who likely left the scene in a composed state. The horror didn't end in the square. Later that morning, a piece of Her apron, which was covered in blood, was discovered in a different street, smeared with what seemed to be fecal matter. Nearby on a wall was scrawled in chalk that read, "The Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing."
Wait, the Jews?
He misspelled it.
How do you spell it?
Juwes.
Maybe that's on purpose, or like okay, or maybe
Nobody
he was
knows.
training to be a surgeon, but they found out he was retarded. so then like they're like, nah, bro, it's not gonna work out. The Jews.
So the message appeared to imply that Jews in general were responsible for these murders, but it's unclear whether that graffiti was written by the murderer
Just like a rando.
or he dropped the apron
Just
next to
the graffiti.
the graffiti. The police commissioner, Sir Charles Warren, feared that the graffiti would spark a riot and like a anti-Semitic
Yeah, because
like
you
war or
had
whatever.
mentioned that a bunch of the Jews had fled the Russian
That's
countries,
right.
so there's probably like there's
That's
a
right.
little community there.
So before dawn, he washed it away.
Tampering with evidence.
Yeah.
He did log it in the report, but he also, and he was honest, he said, "I washed it away before dawn happened."
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we don't want to riot on our hands, boys.
Yeah. And that's the double, that's the two night, the double night, like the, you know what I mean? Whatever, the double event.
Yeah,
Wow.
The double event. All right. So then the victim 4, Mary Jane Kelly, also known as Marie Jeanette Kelly, Fair Emma, or
No way.
Ginger.
Isn't this
5.
victim 5? Because we already did the double up.
Oh, yeah. It is
Yeah,
5. You're
yeah,
right.
victim
Yeah,
five.
yeah.
Yeah.
100%. This is the final victim.
God,
Yeah.
Eric.
Sorry. Yeah.
Retard.
She
He probably
she was
stopped
known
saying
as
that.
she was known as Fair Emma or Ginger. Again, she has
Yeah,
got
of course they
she's
got a name. I think
nickname.
it's just like this is
Yeah.
like the horror like naming convention.
Yeah.
Like they got to know.
Yeah. But so the description of her is a young woman, striking beauty, blonde hair, blue eyes, fair complexion.
Why do they call her Ginger though? I assumed she had a red hair.
Good question.
That's me. That's on
I
me.
don't know.
That's on
Good
me.
question. Yeah. She's blonde, so I don't know.
I guess technically, like the ginger, the root itself is
Yeah.
if you like shave it off, it's like kind of like blonde color. So makes sense.
So though attractive and lively, she endured a turbulent life, marred by misfortune and hardship. There's not a lot of information about Kelly's early years, much of which we know she was married. She was from Limerick, Ireland, and she moved to Wales as a child with her family. She was kind of well off, but details about her background are uncertain, so we don't really know how she ended up in
I
Whitechapel.
want to take a wild stab and say that somehow booze is involved.
Yeah. No, absolutely. 100%. She, and
What's her booze of choice?
well, at 6, I know, good question. Yeah. Each of them have a different,
I know.
yeah,
Different booze,
different,
like Ciroc.
different thing. Yeah.
It's feeling the Diddy. Fucking
wow.
But we do know that she was married at 16, and then her husband died in a mining accident.
Oh shit.
So I'm assuming that's when it turned,
Yeah.
and she didn't have anybody
yeah.
to support her, and or she was crushed by
Yeah.
the fact that the loss of her husband. In 1884, she arrived in London. She started working in a high-class brothel, and that was where you would go to the gentleman as opposed to the gentleman coming to you.
Oh.
Oh, so like an escort.
Yeah.
Oh,
so you would
you'd have to
like send for the carriage.
and you hit
Bring
the,
me the ginger.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then she would go in the carriage to the estate.
So it's like this is like the apple and the high end.
Yeah, this is the
You
the
did say
higher
like
end one.
striking beauty, like yeah, like
Yeah, she was a
they're
good-looking
like,
girl,
They
yeah.
probably wash them
Yeah.
up.
Eventually, that you turn. I mean, once you go down the dark spiral
Oh, for sure.
of drinking and prostitution, and then you kind of go down that.
I mean,
that
anyone
path.
like and
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that's not like a fun life. That's not like she did this by choice.
Yeah.
like, because she liked it. She
Also,
obviously
the
did not want-
environment was so set up to go slower into squalor. I mean, I
mean-
wouldn't even equate it to a high end escort today.
No.
'cause
No, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They end up in this fucking Whitechapel where you're sleeping in
yeah, it's like
the hangover rope.
I know, Whitechapel's like hell.
I know, and of course I would want to drink.
Like the ghettos of the ghetto.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I lived in Whitechapel, I would
want to drink all the time.
I would be literally a
Yeah.
raging alcoholic.
Exactly. So eventually she met Joseph Barnett, and they began living together in 1887. They struggled with rent, etc. Eventually, Kelly started inviting other prostitutes into their place to live until he just finally was like, no more. And they got into an argument, etc. And then so she was out on her own. Essentially,
kicked her out. Like, damn. What
I mean, it seemed like she was kind of a cool person because she was trying to. Yeah, exactly. And like, she had probably a bigger room or a bigger space and that sort of thing. Unfortunately, this is the worst of the murders.
What worse?
This is the worst.
How can it get worse?
I know. I was like, shit.
Now, I was talking to Sean off air, and if you were so inclined, they had about 1 photo per crime scene. So if you were inclined, you could go see exactly what happened in a black and white photo.
No, I did not.
We didn't.
We talked about.
We talked about it. Yeah,
I have not seen them.
The photo of this is nothing I've ever seen. It's fucking gnarly.
So you have seen it.
I have seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, I did see it.
Sorry,
you saw all 5.
I saw all 5. Yeah.
Okay, so what happened?
So, okay, here we go. So the night before her murder on November 8th, Kelly was reportedly in high spirits. Friends later remembered her as warm-hearted, who tried to help others despite her own poverty. She spent the evening drinking in local clubs or pubs, and at 11:45, a neighbor named Mary Ann Cox saw her return to Miller's Court with a stout man carrying a pail of beer. So they do drink beer.
Probably maybe it's cheaper than the
but it's a pail. I don't know how big a pail is.
It's just like gallon of beer.
I think of a pail like where it's like hanging on a.
I know,
you know what I mean?
Water in the garden with the.
I mean, I've never had that much. Like, hey, buddy, I brought a pail tonight.
2 pails for my compadres over here.
Hey, Jorge, bring over some beer. He's like, brings a pail.
A barrel.
Yeah. So she was with this guy, a quote unquote stout man. She was wrapped in a red shawl, and she greeted Cox, who heard her singing "A Violet from Mother's Grave" into the early hours of the morning. So basically, the point is that she was in a good mood, and
I just want to say, this is an interject.
She was buzzing.
No, there's like surprisingly good information.
I know,
like that they got from all these drunkards.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine interviewing these people? Like, just tell me what happened.
Yeah.
Well, like, my lips will be unsealed for a glass of rum, or like, these like fucking. Oh man.
Around 2 a.m., another resident, George Hutchinson, saw Kelly on Commercial Street with a well-dressed man. He described the man as Jewish appearance, whatever that means.
What the fuck does that mean?
What does Jewish appearance mean?
Well, he was like well-dressed. He's like Jewish appearance.
Yeah, I actually don't know.
I really have no idea what that means.
Appearance means.
Yeah. You kind of have that appearance.
Baruch Hatoy Adonai.
I mean, maybe because of the beard, but he could not be Hasidic because he doesn't have the hair for it.
And I don't have the nose. I don't have the nose.
No, but I think maybe.
No, I'm just kidding.
I think maybe it's like maybe they were probably looked distinctly
I know.
different from
they did.
the English Anglo-Saxon
for sure
people that were there, especially at the time. So maybe that's why it's like, oh, Jewish appearance.
I feel like then
this looks completely different than.
I feel like then everything was separated. Like,
oh, for sure.
You were like, if you were
like
Irish, you wore like a little cap. You know,
whatever. Irish, different.
Irish, yeah. Okay, all right, we figured it out.
Salt.
Yeah. So they entered and they lingered around 3 a.m. Nothing seemed amiss. At 4 a.m., there were cries of this statement, which was, "Oh, murder." And that was heard. But in Whitechapel, apparently that was common and it didn't draw much attention.
They're like, yeah,
which
whatever.
is super. I don't really like this part of the information because everybody was freaking out about all the murders.
I know, yeah.
So it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really add up. I feel like it's a bad witness.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Was too drunk.
Yeah. The room fell silent and the flickering candlelight went out. The next morning, 10:45 a.m., John McCarthy, Kelly's landlord, sent Thomas to collect her rent because it was overdue. Remember, it's every morning. It's like,
it's just like on the
rent's
dot.
due. When Bauer received no response, he peered through the broken window and saw a horrifying sight. Mary Jane Kelly's mutilated remains lay on the blood-soaked bed.
Oh, so like in her house?
It was in a room. It was in like one apartment room, essentially, that she was renting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The police forced open the door and discovered the gruesome scene. Her face had been, and I quote, hacked beyond all recognition. Her throat severed down to her spine. The abdomen emptied all of its organs. Her uterus, kidneys, and one of her breasts were placed beneath her head as a pillow.
What the fuck?
Other
Damn.
internal organs from her body placed beside her feet, about the bed, and sections of her abdomen and her thighs were put on the bedside table.
What? Dude, this guy's just a fucking psycho.
The heart was completely missing from the crime scene.
He took the heart.
He took the heart.
How do you fucking cut up a whole body and then you're just like, how are you not covered in blood? Maybe that's why he cuts the neck first.
Right.
Get
So they
most of the
bleed
blood.
out.
Yeah, bleed out, and then I don't know. I don't even actually want to know.
So multiple ashes were found in the fireplace, suggesting that Kelly's murder had burned several combustible items to illuminate that single room while he mutilated her. So the difference being that in the other murders, it was on the street
Yeah, this one it was like
or in a
he
backyard.
was like in an
so,
apartment.
so he had tons of time.
Oh yeah,
He had all the time.
no one's gonna walk up on
No. Yeah, exactly. So they established that a recent fire had been severe enough to melt the part between the kettle and its spout, which had fallen into the fireplace. So that means the fire was big enough and long enough to have melted
the
things.
thing.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it wasn't just like a little like he like lit a newspaper and it like burned
Yeah,
out.
that's right. This would be widely considered the last Jack the Ripper murder, of which he was never caught, never identified, never even acknowledged by the police as to who they believe was responsible.
That's insane.
And that's the canonical 5 in Jack the Ripper.
I mean, this guy was like a real piece of shit.
That's like
I
didn't even
the deepest, darkest piece of shit
I know.
that's ever like
100%.
I mean, not like killing, and it's like just killing her is fucking really shitty. But you gotta cut her fucking piece of her thigh, like put it on the table.
And that's why they say
And it's so weird that he takes like some of the organs with him.
Yeah,
Like-
the heart's gone.
yeah, took the heart, leaves
Where's the
other
heart?
shit.
Where the fuck does he take it?
I know. What do you do with it? What is like?
Cannibalistic?
Maybe some weird ritual
maybe.
shit. I don't know.
Yeah. It seemed like a couple of the victims had removed parts.
Yeah, well, there was the uterus,
Yeah.
the womb,
Vagina.
vagina, the
How
heart.
do you-
He took a kidney from one of the chicks.
Yeah.
It seems like he's some weird like Frankenstein experiment
Fuck.
like thing.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like he's
Yeah.
doing.
So all in this time, like people are freaking out. There's the letter, and then there's all these fake postcards and letters that come out.
Oh, it's just like the Zodiac. It's like everyone like, dude, it's just
No,
like
and that's a great point, which is that it very much is Zodiac vibe,
yeah,
right? With the
100%.
letter,
And then people are like,
the-
ooh, I'm
you
gonna try to
know,
recreate it.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
I want to be famous. Everyone like this weird obsession with being famous and being like
I know.
validated, even if it's for shitty stuff.
Mhm.
It's like, it's so weird.
So there you go. That's part 1 of Jack the Ripper. We are going to go into all the suspects and the conspiracies. There's some fucking wild ones, and they're pretty interesting to consider.
DB Cooper is the
yeah.
Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, things like that. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts right now. You know what I mean about
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
now
kind
that-
of hard to.
Hope you have a great day. Now that we've like set you up for
I mean-
success. Like Jesus.
I mean,
Christ.
we do. I mean, there's obviously a pattern.
There's
you
clearly
take-
there's clearly
right?
a pattern.
Yeah.
He's got something against people who are down on their luck. Whitechapel is this fucking environment of
At despair
everybody's just selling their body and drinking.
and drunk. Yeah, and
Yeah.
just like there's no well-to-do people. Everyone's
Yeah.
like into shit.
But what I always found weird is that people call him a sexual deviant and like some sort of like sexually depraved person,
'cause-
but
'cause-
none of
'cause
them
all-
were raped or none of them
Well,
were
yeah,
slept
but all
with.
these were like prostitutes. Maybe that's why. You
Yeah,
know,
but it's also it's
so-
like if you take someone's vagina, I mean, I think there's
Jesus
going to
Christ.
automatically classify you as sexual
Yeah.
deviant.
Yeah, I get it. Because
Just saying.
it's a sexual part. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I get it.
have no other reason
that
to
and
understand
like
why.
I said, they were prostitutes. So like you can just assume that.
Oh yeah, like,
There's-
okay, he's killing prostitutes. He
Yeah.
wanted to like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Jesus.
All right.
Well, I'm sad
Definitely
now.
crazy. I'm ready for number 2.
Yeah, please, I'm ready to solve this tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, it hasn't been solved, and it you know,
Yet.
yet. And then maybe tonight.
Yeah.
There you go.
Next week for you guys.
I know. That's right. All right, we'll catch you guys next time. I hope you tune in to part 2 of Jack the Ripper. Again,
Happy to
sorry,
be
it's
back. Yeah.
sorry it's such a dark
It's really
story, but at the same time, he's one of the most famous.
I mean, I think our
yeah.
lady listeners will probably like it because the ladies are always like, just like my wife, they're all into like fucking
Crime.
true
Totally.
crime.
Dude, I don't know why girls are so into that shit.
Yeah,
Like, and don't
so
act like
true.
you are because you know it.
It's
Like,
true.
100%.
We all have wives. We know that they're into that shit. Anyways,
It's because girls are like the ultimate like investigators.
Oh,
fucking like
really?
they're
Is that what
FBI.
it is?
Oh, yeah,
maybe it is.
They're
like,
FBI.
well, we're gonna get to the bottom of this shit.
100%.
You think that's why?
I think that's why. Like their
Well,
FBI
usually
shit turns on and they're like, I'm gonna find out. what
Yeah,
happened."
like we're gonna learn today.
You know what I don't understand is that why are all serial killers white men?
That's true.
It's not all. Now I know
Crazy.
Which one's
somebody's
not?
gonna-
Which one's not?
There's like
There's
probably like one.
no
I
in
think there's, like,
Atlanta.
one or
Yeah.
In
two.
Atlanta, there was a
It's
a
very,
child murderer.
It's a very.
and it was a
small
horrible. He
percentage.
was the worst.
Okay.
Like, but he was a black guy. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Makes sense.
No Mexicans. I'm happy about that.
that we know of.
No, what are you talking about? The night strangler was Mexican.
Night Strangler. I don't know.
I mean,
LA.
do the
He was
cartels
in LA.
count as serial killers?
yeah, I know.
I mean, come on, like those
Then
motherfuckers do the
I
craziest
think
shit.
he
the
was called-
chupacabras.
I think he was called the Night Stalker, and he
That was in LA.
Yeah, he was in L.A. and he raped like 100 people.
Yeah, it was
And
crazy.
he would crawl through their windows and rape them, and sometimes kill them.
Okay,
And he was
well,
Mexican,
Take that
so-
back.
But I was just wondering. Anyways, we could talk about it later. But
Yeah,
I don't
the
understand
most
why
famous ones.
are
The most
white.
famous ones.
Yeah,
are
they're
white,
white
for sure.
men. Yeah, I don't
It
understand.
really is that way. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll figure that out next
Catch
time.
you next Tuesday, guys.
And if you're a white male, good luck to you.
Yeah, we're watching you.
All right. We'll catch you guys next time.
Night night.
Hey guys, are you obsessed with us?
That's
I
cool.
am.
Can you just
like
not
that.
get enough?
That's all right. We don't blame you.
We just launched a Patreon and Spotify exclusive content. There are 2 ways you can sign up for exclusive content. The first is through Spotify. There's a link in our profile description that links you to the Spotify premium page. And that's only $2.99 a month. And it gets you an ad-free experience and it gets you extra episodes that come out every month. The other way is through our Patreon. All you got to do is go to Patreon and search The Conspiracy Podcast, and you'll find us. There are many different levels there, all giving different amounts of content.
And you get a lot of bennies with this, like maximum bennies. No ads.
You get some exclusive discounts on our merch.
Oh yeah, you get access to our. We
yeah.
had a Discord.
Yeah.
You want to like talk to us in real time?
Do you want to yell at us constantly live?
Yeah. Do you want to have free access to cuss us out without any repercussions whatsoever?
Or just simply suggest a new episode that we got to do.
There you go. And on top of it, you get 5 free mini episodes right out the gate.
And then one a month from then on.
What is a
right.
mini episode, real quick?
A mini episode is basically a conspiracy or a mystery where it just doesn't warrant a full hour-long episode.
So go to conspiracypodcast.com/Patreon.